Good morning, fellow earthlings. On this, what are we? Red crystal earth. Let's see where we land today. Routine regularity and the benefits thereof, the downsides thereof. Evolve, synchronize, navigate, crystallize, universalize, cooperate. Strikes me as a perfect match. Earth on tone 12 is fantastic. Every time I say that, I'm wondering, is there a tone and a seal that is not fantastic together? Well, our Earth is certainly the perfect example of universalized truths, the third dimensional expression of truth, order, tomorrow is the last day in this wave spell, the white mirror, and the wave spell of the white world bridger. And the white mirror talks about order, and it's on the cosmic tone, and cosmos means order. How perfect. This is the most perfect wave spell, by the way. I think so. Right now, I think so. I might think so again in the next wave spell. Tone 12 is supposedly a very nice tone to reflect on the wave spell. What have we experienced? And I noticed that my short-term memory kind of sort of doesn't extend much further back than 3-4 days, seemingly. I mean, these are not ultimate truths, but I realized yesterday it felt as if the whole wave spell was pretty dark, and it absolutely wasn't. Oh no, it wasn't. I think I did a pretty serious timeline jump, and the funny thing is that when I look in the mirror, I can see it. The feelings it brought along, well, if we timeline jump, and if we do it in, I don't know, it felt like I did quite a massive bit of healing actually in the early days of this wave spell, and call it timeline jumping. It would potentially cause me to have to let go. No, delete that. It would cause me, it not potentially, it causes, I mean, I have to, I would have, I mean, I have to let go of the timeline I was in. Or how does it work? Do I get to weave the new timeline into the existing one? That would require discernment, what stays and what leaves. And if I do it that way, if I did it that way, I don't know if that's an option. I can imagine that if I'm then holding on to things that are no longer compatible with the new timeline, but they're somehow, due to their familiarity, dear to me, and then I don't want to let them go, or due to fear of, but that isn't, I don't timeline jump from here to there, from this world of familiarity. I don't quantum jump to something I don't know. I'm not saying that I couldn't do that. Those kind of jumps, they happen. I'm thinking now, like, yeah, you can fall in love and just suddenly you're really in a very different world. But the way I feel I did it was to go back in time, which means if I change something at the age of small, that version of me lives a full life. So if I then have timeline jumped, I haven't done it from, up here. I've made a very small or a shift at a small age, and then that person has lived a trajectory. I can now wake up on that new trajectory. So I haven't actually. Anyway, I don't know if that makes any sense. It definitely makes sense to me. And I don't know to what degree, if one does that, if it's even possible to not hold on. I mean, if it's even possible to hold on, to not let go. Because then you're on a different timeline. Boom, there's nothing. But perhaps it could, I don't know if it would cause a temporary potential confusion. It doesn't matter. My mind is looking for explanations. Am I trying to stop that? Just feel it. And what am I doing? What am I wanting to do? My evolution. Sometimes our evolution, personal and collective, is difficult to see while in the process. The way most of us change, when we change, most of the change is so slow, or our partners or people we see every day, we don't notice because we see them or ourselves every day. People who don't see us for some months or years, then they notice changes in us. I don't recall as a child ever thinking, oh, I am taller and bigger than I was a year ago. And as far as human evolution is concerned, yeah, perspective, attitude. How often I talk with people who who can't see us evolving. They see a devolution, or they see where everything repeats. And then the filter makes it so that it looks as if, yeah, the colors change, the times change, the circumstances change a little bit, but the essence doesn't. It's just a repeat. And that isn't altogether wrong, because as we evolve, we often repeat the same thing. We want it that way. We do that until we no longer need it, until we've repeated it enough times to create something new, collectively. And the earth, I keep thinking the earth is like our belief systems, our collective belief systems, and so much more. But my collective feelings, my body is made up of my collective ideas, thoughts, feelings, maybe all the way back to, well, the first Adam and the first Eve, whatever, proverbially. All my Akashic records are stored in the DNA. So who or what decides what of all that DNA information is being expressed? And one of the shifts that we're in terms of evolution, it's not yet terribly obvious, I think, unless one moves in certain fields, circles. We are getting more direct access through consciousness to our own DNA and to our own expression. We're training it, we're programming it, we've programmed it. Maybe it's not even us, maybe it's where the trajectory of evolution goes anyway. Maybe it's where we are heading in space as our solar system. And whatever radiation is hitting the earth is really important to our genetic expression. I have recommended this documentary film several times. I shall do so again, which is The Primordial Code. Part 3 has just come out. Need to watch it. I'll start with part 1. It's very, very brilliant. Very, very brilliant. And towards the end, there's this experiment where they put the seeds into earth. It's called a green box, I think. And he subjects this earth to electromagnetic radiation or electric radiation, something, and it changes the gene expression of the wheat grains that they're germinating in there. And it expresses the way it did maybe hundreds of or thousands of years ago. Initially, it was bush form. Anyway, it's very interesting. Check it out. Primordial Code, or The Primordial Code. And we are, an interesting question which I have no answer to, again, belief, is the trajectory of the solar system through the galaxy in any way, well, is it like a kind of is it predetermined? Or, I mean, it would be not erratic. So anyone who can see it, who can measure it, can predict it. But do we know the kinds of radiation that we're meeting and the different radiation fields that we're entering that are out there? Maybe memories, fields of memories of other star systems or whatever. It's very fascinating. It's entirely theoretical. This is entirely non-practical, but where it isn't theoretical is that we are currently moving into an area of space the Earth has never been in, and there is new radiation and new whatever hitting the Earth. The Earth is merging with it. Can I have a different language? Can I use a different language? It's changing. Our sun is changing. Things are changing, and obviously it's better that they change slow enough that we don't get all disturbed. that we can adjust. What is happening with the elephants in Africa who are now no longer growing long tusks? Evolution, I suppose their own genetics have adjusted, understanding we will go extinct if we keep growing long tusks, and within 2 or 3 generations, or very short period of time, they have evolved into no longer having long tusks. And what will we have? A different kind of thumb, small thumbs. People with big thumbs, they can't type fast. Oh, I have a struggle with that. Whatever, maybe we evolve into hunchbacks, I don't know. I mean, my goodness, where's that going? Constantly looking down. Our eyesight will probably decrease by a factor of a lot. We don't no longer need to look into the distance. And I'm sure our ancient ancestors had much better eyesight and much better hearing and much more telepathy and all of that. We like to think of them as more primitive than us, caveman, Neanderthal. I personally believe we are very, very, very mistaken. We are very mistaken. If we measure intelligence by the kinds of tools we're using and the way we're using them, as humans, we really are not, I don't know, never mind. I just think there's other factors at play that we have lost. Other senses, other parts of ourselves that in the modern world, and if they had a way to show us that they have those senses, to paint it, to build it, to do anything, we are too daft because we don't have them. We couldn't read it. We couldn't understand it. I'm always fascinated at how are we assuming we can understand those ancient languages, whether it's Sumerian or the Egyptian glyphs or whatever. In my books, we are so rudimentary in our language use, so third dimensional in so many ways that we don't even have a concept that people could have an intelligence so much beyond our own that their use of concepts and words would surpass ours by factors that we can't even imagine. And it's like a 3-year-old deciphering Latin. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. But then again, evolution. If it's always us, if it was us here thousands of years ago, and we reincarnate and come back, and we go through these different kinds of intelligent levels, I don't know whatever I call it, different kinds of expressions, different kinds of experiences. We've left clues for ourselves. We were the ones who understood it all. We are the ones who now understand things differently, and we will be the ones to weave it all together. And that makes so much sense because that's just so awesome to think of it like that. I mean, why on earth are we so fascinated with our history, with our past? Why is it so important where we come from? And why is there so much distortion in our past? Why do there appear to be such a lot of lies about our ancestors on Earth or other civilizations and their level of intelligence? Why do certain elements of humans on this planet want to tell us that we are the most evolved, that we are the most advanced, when clearly we are not. And is that a problem? Does that mean we're devolving? Or does that, our earth, what do we our synchronization personally? It depends entirely on our belief systems. I've spoken about this before, the importance of being able, Yellow Warrior, to question our belief systems. We can each day collapse on our own realities and affirm it consciously. We're doing it unconsciously all the time. But the inability to question something, or the inability to say, I actually would like to change my belief system. In many religious contexts, people do not have that option. I have spoken to friends of mine in a certain religion, young women, teenagers, very aware of the limitations of the belief system they were living in, and saying, we're stuck here. We're stuck here. And the saying that to me is like, I was like, I can't tell you that you're not, because of course you're not, but the consequences you're not willing to face. Understandably, in their case. It's just like, why do we have belief systems like prisons? What is the point of that? I mean, you have to ask that. And we're changing that. I really believe we're changing that. And there are those vested in having these prison type belief systems because they're benefiting from it. But the future generations will not have it like that. The religions will not leave because they're beautiful. The belief systems will become open, fluid, free, and radiant with the core truths that are inherent in them. A way to explain and love. I don't want to use the word worship, but worship is a beautiful word, but it can also be a bit along a line of hierarchy, which places the object of worship very far above the object of ourselves, and to keep ourselves in this lowly position as if we're not worthy, we get to worship. I'd say the divine is worshiping us. Of course. That's hard. That sounds like a massive ego statement. It's not. That's it. If it is that, then that is an interpretation of the word worship. That I'm, it's when I'm in love with someone or something, I worship that. But as I said, I don't like using that word because it's fraught with subtleties that I don't want to have here right now. So, words, the power of words. So we've been through the world, Bridget. We're still with 1 foot, 2 feet in it. The truth, everything shall someday be changed. And the crystal tone today, universalizing, is there? Where is there? Is there a field, a reality that does not change? There always is a reality relative to another reality where the one reality changes much faster than the other reality. But that doesn't mean to me it doesn't really make sense that there's anything that doesn't change. But even the divine, even God evolves, changes, grows, whatever God is. And we here have learned or are learning are constantly, we are evolving, and we have to let go, and we get to see, for me, I see in this wave spell my own limiting belief systems. By far, I cannot see all of them, but I've seen quite a few of them. And I've faced a lot of them head on. I've had some very good conversations also yesterday, and yeah, not being my own echo chamber. And noticing what happens to me, for example, when I feel I'm not understood. When I feel I talk about something that is trauma related in me, that is programming that has been placed, that's like part of my bedrock. I do believe everything is changeable. But it was very interesting for me to see yesterday. I kick myself out of the conversation when I feel I'm being given advice before I feel heard. Why do we love these conversations with ChatGPT? I mean, ChatGPT is like setting a new standard. I thought to myself at some point yesterday, I really prefer to chat to ChatGPT than to you, simply because I feel much more heard. There are certain things I don't talk to ChatGPT about either, because I'm not sure if I trust this. If it's an echo chamber, it just mirrors me, or if it does bring in a new perspective, both. In any case, it was just good for me to notice, well, what do I do? And then how do I react to someone who doesn't have the perfect communication skills? And to realize, hello, I don't have them either. Absolutely, I don't. So if I go into, instead of calmly explaining, I feel you're not hearing me, and I feel blah, 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 which I can now do also, like I couldn't. There's like something automatically happens, and it's so delicate to me. I feel it's very delicate because my defense mechanisms are very, very smart. Just to watch them, it's very hard. But as I zone in, like in quantum physics, they're going deeper and deeper and deeper, dissecting deeper and deeper. And then what do they end up with? Patterns, geometric patterns, other kind of patterns. So we're back to pattern recognition. And in psychology and everywhere else, it's the same thing, pattern recognition. And what are my patterns? What happens? At what point does a thing change shape? If it changes shape and I don't notice it, I'm still assuming it's the shape it had when I last looked, but it's changed. And then that means a different reaction, a different response. And if someone is talking to me, I change shape, they don't notice, they're still talking to the shape I had 2 minutes ago, and I get really upset because you're no longer talking to me. And if I don't even notice that happening, nobody notices it happening, it can make conversation go extremely weird. Yeah, so, and I am more and more able to observe that and to see how I want to react, and how I then react to the reaction, and react to the reaction of the reaction of the reaction. It's just like it loops and it spins and it cycles and it forms their own patterns, and it's just like it's like to stay calm and collected and adult in that process. what's the hardest point? The hardest point is like to not, there wants to be a kind of a quantum jump. There is this like which superposition. There is, I'm holding, I'm observing. Seriously, it's no less than that. I observe myself making a choice. My system makes a choice. Which state I go into next. And to say, wait a minute. Or to say, I observe you fall into this. There is no return. I cannot go back to state A after I've left it and collapsed into state B. And therein, and then to understand, but I've learned in this wave spell, I can timeline jump, I can quantum jump, I can do it. To have this kind of conversation with myself while I'm also listening to another outside conversation, it's like, I'd say that's no mean feat. And I'm kind of pleased that I get to experience that. And the hardest part is there is a groove like in a record. The known path. I don't like that path. I don't like where it leads. But it's the known path. And as I normally, it's like slip, slide, gish, you're gone. There's no watching the steps. And now I'm like applying some kind of magnifying glass on the process and seeing, aha, 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 observing every, it feels like an observation of every quantum reaction that happens. And if I do that, I have to allow that I can't necessarily change it. But I also know the point where I don't want to get to. And I can't say, when I say I don't want to get there, the universe or the system doesn't understand the don't. So I am aware, I'm observing myself getting there. But I'm not going to have that reaction. So it's just really, really strange. And there comes a point where the gravity of the pull of the trajectory is very powerful, and it feels as if that's where I want to go. All of me wants to go, like foot on into sulk mode, for example. And it's like, that's just the trajectory. And it's got a gravitational field or a magnetic pull. And how far on that process can I go and halt that magnetic pull? Its sheer presence. To not react to, it's kind of like I'm doing what I did as a child, what we can easily do as children, or I don't know, we do it when what we call dissociation, when you split yourself. Dissociation happens, I'm going to just say that, those of you who know it, bear with me. If I get it wrong, bear with me double, correct me please. When a child is faced with a mom who is nice and now and then not, maybe right out abusive, the child splits itself because it has to protect the nice mom, because it needs the nice mom, it loves the nice mom. Mommy is always good. When mommy is not good, the child can't differentiate and say, oh, sometimes mommy is good and sometimes she's not good. The child splits itself, so that the self that is confronted with the violent mother is another part of myself, and it gets split off. That whole experience gets split off, and then the one I uphold is the nice mom. And I thought for a long time, like, how can I, if we do that, and this is part of what we do to survive, human beings are able to survive horrible things that they say animals couldn't survive. But then, I don't know how many abusive animal parents are there. Why is it we have that ability to abuse our own children? Yes, someone explain that to me. Can we see where that comes from? Where are our archaeologists that tell us this is where the first cause of child abuse, our own children, comes from? Where did that start? Who was the first parent that said, you are weaker than me, I'm gonna murder the shit out of you, as they say in Afrikaans. Anyway, so if this is a way we survive, then I gotta make that ability into something conscious that I can use at will and to my benefit. Right? And the reversal also. I have to soul retrieval. I have to bring those parts back to myself because I personally don't want to walk around fragmented. So I don't know if I'm saying I want to consciously be able to fragment myself. Well, yeah, I guess I want to be able to consciously fragment and defragment myself, because there's even a computer fragments for a reason. But I don't know, Apple doesn't need to do that, or does it automatically in the background. But with Windows machines, I don't know if it's still like that, but back a long, long time ago when I was still using Windows machines, every now and then you had to run the defragmentation program so that the stuff gets defragmented. And during the World Bridger, I certainly faced a lot of my own fragmentation and how inefficient I am because of it. And then I can't make heads or tails of things because this shit doesn't add up. And I'm deeply frustrated because there's information or data and it ends. And where is the connective data? Where's the rest of this stuff? And then I find pieces over there, and then I find pieces over there. And then I don't even know, they belong together. Do they or don't they? Looks like, fuck. But to whatever degree we are evolving consciously, to whatever degree the yellow human tells us wisdom, free will, and what was the other one? Influence. And the yellow signs are, are the last in the row of four. They're the harvesters. Sometimes they form the matrix. And the matrix, not talking about, any matrix. We live in a lot of matrices. To say we have to step out of the matrix is like, which one, please? But choose. Understanding choice as a human, it's kind of sort of key. And not to be overwhelmed by choice. And to me, the World Bridger, it's like, there's a lot to say about it. I just love this. If you look at the glyph, wait, am I trajectorizing myself too far now? Have I completed this observation of my own kind of sort of pattern, maybe quantum, maybe whatever? It's the same patterns. It's the same looking at things in superposition and then seeing them collapse. And then forming a new, there's this, in this conversation we were speaking about how to, how every smart aleck says, you got to learn to not snap and react and explode in anger or whatever. Put a little bit of distance between yourself and your reactiveness. If you get angry, go take a walk and come back sober-headed and then talk about it. And I say, that's very fine to say, and it's very correct. But what do we do when we can't have the wherewithal to place that space between ourselves and that reaction. I have that frequently. I snap, not frequently, but occasionally. So I'm also, part of my ancestral programming is, what is it called? White rage? Not what is it called? I have to look this up, but I just don't want to right now. But when people just explode on a dime, my grandfather was like that, and my mother has elements of it, and I have elements of it. So I know what it's like. It just happens out of nowhere. I'm calm and collected, and the next moment I'm just myself, and in the next moment I'm like something I don't even recognize. It's just a tiny, tiny short moment. And I've lived my life in controlling that for very, very large parts. But at some point comes a point in your 40s when you can't do these control things any longer. Your control mechanisms, when you use them all the time, they wear out. And then you're forced into some kind of honesty. World bridge or wave spell, cosmic mirror tomorrow. You force you into honesty. At some point you can't hold it together. Things fly apart. That doesn't belong together eventually flies apart. That's evolution. And the truth comes through, and then you can heal it and form new truths, whatever. And it was very good to talk about that, because I could, even in that conversation, the conversation geared unconsciously around that, because I could observe that process happening in slow motion. And I think that's very healing. And it allows me for a moment to realize a part of me hasn't blue planetary eagle in this wave spell, right? We spoke about this also, like you have to have a goal. What's the end goal? Or what's the goal? What's your vision? How do I, world bridger, what is the truth? What is my truth I want to end up living? What is my universal truth? What do I ultimately want? There is a yellow human in this wave spell. Fucking point seven, tone day 7, resonant. What do I want to resonate with? What do I want to resonate with in a year's time? The way I world bridged myself through this wave spell, I don't want to experience that again. Yet I know I probably will. But I would like another kind of wherewithal. I'm not in a space where I say, I just want peace forever and ever. I want joy always. I want nothing else. I can't. I do need and want the contrast, but to this kind of existential struggle where I really struggle with my will to live and what I believe that does with me. I don't know, man. I don't know. But is that the contrast that pushes me off into another trajectory? Is that an essential part of my evolution? Is that a seasonal thing, and I'm being the tree without leaves, struggling very hard against leaflessness? Is that struggle resistance and I should drop it? Or is that struggle actually my life force, the very life force which carries me through the winter and builds my new buds and leaves and new shoot? Is it that? Is that what that process actually feels like? It feels like a struggle. It feels as if I'm resisting, but it's actually like a pushing a baby through a birth canal, which isn't a it's out. It's often a push. Can I make that process? Not every human birth is that kind of a struggle. Not at all. Can I, for myself, get a new paradigm? That can I choose it? Can I influence it? Can I choose resonance with a paradigm where all the processes are met with more peace? it sounds like a good idea. But here comes the next thing that I notice right now is to consciously choose can be really tricky, because I will I will have to assume as if I know what's best for me. And that is a wisdom I don't possess to the degree that I would have to consciously. You know, if we what and we see it in this, I feel we see it in the Western society, where we are able to choose comfort to an extremely high degree. And we're seeing that the comforts we're choosing are beyond the point of optimal. They are not, they are often not really good for us. Where, like, we decrease how much we move, we decrease how much we think, we decreasing our capacities due to the comforts we've created for ourselves. And at some point we have to realize that. And then it's for the human mind, or for us, I think for many of us, very difficult to like, it's quite difficult to leave the comfort zone for many of us. It requires us to take ourselves to some serious pain. So maybe it's like the child in utero becomes too big. That environment is super comfortable. It's super beautiful to float in the universal waters of all eternity while your body is being built, you're being fed, you just float there. It must be, I'm sure, getting your body built is like mostly a super psychedelic experience. Like, oh my goodness. But at some point, it's like the next level. It's like, this is no longer comfortable. I cannot take my next evolutionary step in utero. And then when the discomfort becomes too great, we birth. We come out. Yeah. So the world bridger is like that birth canal process. We have to let go of stuff. You know, sometimes it's what we're happy letting go of, sometimes we're not. And even to let go of a victim identity or of any kind of poor me, is quite nicely described in the Celestine prophecy. Quite, yeah. Sometimes we have to let go of our identity built around whatever illnesses we might have, or shortcomings, or traumas, or whatever identity. Let go of identity. That's really scary. For most of us, letting go of our identity, it's not easy. And consciously, I'm not even sure if it's conscious. I'm going to let go of my identity today. I don't know if we can make that decision. Or if life just actually brings us there, and then we realize, you know what, life without an identity is so much easier. This identity thing, or like at least have some sort of fluid identity. Maybe that's what this whole weirdness we're experiencing on the planet right now. I say it from my perspective. If you're in it, it's like, oh, you take offense now because this isn't weird. But for many of us, it's a bit of a weirdness going on the planet. I'm not going to talk anymore about it. I suppose you know what I mean. Things get very fluid. For those of us where those aspects are not fluid at all, it's very strange. What are you talking? Fluid, what? Seems slightly insane. But some sort of fluidity in our identity can be very liberating. And I mean, to know who we are, who are we, that is not identity. I'm looking at a bird out there. If a bird knows it's a bird, is that its identity, or is that just what it is? Is my humanity is not my identity. I don't identify as human. I am human. There's a difference. Um, so blue monkey, illusion or not, very interesting. But a lot of our identity is unconscious, and it's often tripping us up, and we don't even realize it. We might just see we're falling all the time, and like, why? So, I seem to be talking about that all the time. Anyhow, navigating, synchronizing, evolving means letting go, means dying. The earth is our collective ancestral fields. All the people who came before us, all the ancestors, and in most shamanic traditions, our ancestors include our animal and our plant ancestors. They are also our ancestors. I mean, we eat plants. They become a part of our body. We and the earth are one in a way. The way we and our cells are one, but our cells have their own shape. If anybody shows you your cells, you'll not say you look like that, but you are one with them. And yet you can look at it. So are you one with them when you can look at it? I mean, like, yeah. So this love bond we share with the earth, this nurturance the earth gives us, what does she want from us for all the food she grows for us? We don't pay anything except we give our body back to her. It's some kind of perpetuum mobile, it's some kind of self-sustaining system, this earth. And maybe just it isn't, because the earth too is given energy by the sun. The sun is given energy by whatever, and someday that system expires. But other systems are created somewhere. There must be a perpetuum mobile system running, because in ultimate terms, all of existence must be a closed loop. It cannot be open. It can't. My mind can't. It can't. Because something comes before, something comes before, something comes before something. That doesn't go on into infinity. That closes. The end and the beginning are the same. Which is why everything is now. There is no time. I mean, that's to me as logical as anything. And experienceable. But that doesn't matter. Time is a cool thing. Yeah. Otherwise, how do we evolve? How do I become another version of me? It's just, we can talk a lot about aging and the trajectories we're taking biologically. And are they predetermined? They're not. They're not. But to turn that wheel, it takes a lot of us to intend something different. A lot of us to change that part of evolution. A lot of us to want that, and a lot of us are wanting it, because a lot of our elderly, at least in the Western world, are now showing us where we all don't want to go. It's like, no, 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 no. And we can't look at that and say we don't want that. We gotta say, what do we want? We want to be fit until the last breath we take. No question. We want to be mentally at full capacity. We want to be, I want to be fitter at the age of 500 than I was at the age of 5. For me, logic would dictate, as you live longer, as you live, your capacities increase. You evolve. You don't degrade. You don't downgrade. Why would you downgrade? So we live in a paradigm where things wear down. Any object, any physical object eventually wears down, and then a new one, it gets replaced. And it's fine. Our bodies wear down, we get a new one. But the efficiency to have to get a new body every 100 years, to have a lifespan of 100 years, is that optimal? Is that what we choose? And maybe yes, and maybe 3 years is enough. That soul has chosen 3 years is enough. What I'm haggling with, or I'm like questioning is, what I would like is choice, not choosing a long life out of fear of dying. That is not it. To understand the body is my tool. I will have a new body anytime I want. But the body that I have will cooperate with me. I love it. I cooperate with it, and it can rejuvenate in this form as this person for as long as I want it. That is the vision I uphold. And if the eagle holds that vision, the occult medicine of the eagle, planetary eagle, 2 days ago, is the world bridger. So there are some visions you have to hold on to. Don't let them go. That wisdom of the yellow human, of the resonant human, to know when to hold on to, when to let go. And when we don't have the wisdom, there is a greater us. There is a higher self, or there is a divine. There is the collective experience of all humanity. It is known. Everything is known. The trajectory, the optimal, the way to optimize, everything is known. So we can trust that. Red dragon. We can trust our own evolution. We can trust that the elders or the humans on this planet who are showing us what happens when we don't let go, what happens when we hold on to our old skin. When a serpent holds on to the skin, it doesn't shed. We are seeing it in the elder. We're not understanding it yet. I feel when we look at, say, things like dementia or whatever, we're looking into the brain and we're trying to understand, we're seeing the consequence and we think that is a cause. We're looking at the symptoms of calcification or amyloid plugs collecting and not being the brain not being cleared and cleaned out and in optimal functioning, whatever, remaining there. We see what happens to the brain and then what happens to us. But there is a cause before that. We need to start understanding the real cause. What makes the brain do that? There's a reason. Pattern recognition. So can we go into the quantum field and understand what makes my brain work like that? Where do I check out? So often that it becomes a pattern, that it becomes a groove, that I eventually cannot not fall into. And checking out while staying alive becomes the program I'm running. Or panic and fear becomes my entire world. I know a family member of mine in dementia, she doesn't have the peaceful kind. She lives in constant fear. It must be a nightmare. It's horrible to see. It's very, very sad. Yet not dying, not letting go. So if fear, we don't understand what we're afraid of, we're just afraid. We don't face the fear and we don't face the cause of the fear. Then we will face the consequence of the fear. And if we're afraid to live and afraid to die, both, you'll end up in nowhere land. That is a kind of a hell, I imagine. Horrible. And yeah, anyway, evolution, navigating, and we are here together. I want to say in closing something about isolation, how fear isolates us if we don't share our fear, if we don't talk about our feelings, which often we don't, not to the degree that I feel we should, and sharing to the degree that we can become self-observing. I was very, very thankful yesterday for that conversation where my boyfriend gave me that space, and I gave it to myself as well, and time to really do a deep dive of analysis. I do a lot of it in my own echo chambers, but I can't only do it there. And to see, okay, and I place some hope, I believe, my navigation system believes that that is the way for me to be healthy, to be keeping myself in optimal functioning, because that's my choice. That's the choice I make as yellow human. I choose wisdom. I choose spirit. I don't wish for it, hope for it, or want it. I choose it. It's a non-negotiable choice. And wherever I come up with unwise behavior, against my own unwise behavior, unwise decisions, I choose analysis mode. I choose that. And I hope that that is a wise choice. That's the best I can do right now. Okay. Maybe did I admit defeat there right now? I don't know. I shall investigate. What is my guidance system saying? Some kind of joy. Joy, I know, joy. Laughter is a healer. Joy and laughter are main components to longevity, and not 10 years demented in an old age home, but longevity in terms of full capacity, longevity at full capacity. Biologically, there's nothing in our DNA. We are programmed, we are designed for long lives. That's a fact. And 100 years is not a long life. 500 years is not a long life either. And if the time is spinning faster, I mean, you just gotta make your own choices here, man. We are programmed for choice. And the world bridger, this is what I wanted to say. When you look at the glyph, I mean, to me, I don't know if José Aguiles downloaded these glyphs. It's a brilliant system, and it is downloaded, and it is divine. If it's a version of the traditional Maya system, and I spoke about it before, that there's a clash between the two, and criticism often from the traditional Maya system followers, the original, that this is a misappropriation or whatever. It is a language for the modern mind, and I terribly appreciate it. I find it very beautiful and very ingenious. So the glyphs, the world bridger, it's like two elements. I mean, it looks like a face. It looks a bit like an elephant, to me. But there are two worlds touching each other, and then in between, like an artery, like it's as if you have a cross section of a muscle. You have different muscle fibers, different muscle groups, and in between them you have fascia, you have blood vessels, all kinds of things. And those are different worlds inside our own body. The world of the nerves, a very different world, a different order of working to muscle fiber or to fascia, or different muscles serve different functions, stabilizing, activating, whatever. You know, if they say fascia holds emotion, or if they say the psoas muscle holds emotion, I mean, most muscles hold emotions, I suppose, you know. This is very interesting. And connective tissue, how it functions, blood, how it functions, fluid, cerebrospinal, what is it? Fluid that soup up in the brain, that holds the brain, very important. The moon, liquids, universal water, fluids, and nothing works without fluids. And how perfectly it all works together. So if our body is our earth, it's so perfectly synchronized to life. And when it doesn't perfectly work, it's because there's interference with the natural functioning. And many of us look outside. Our interference comes from, you can't be, but comes from the electric fields, too much radiation, electro radiation, electricity around us, Wi-Fi radiation, high wire electric lines radiation. Yeah, you can be whatever. No comment. But our own minds it's also radiative fields. We create them. And we are the antennas. So as a human, the world bridger, the resonant human, free will determines your resonance. I will say you cannot abdicate responsibility. Of course, you can abdicate responsibility. What would wisdom say? To some it's like, no, I choose not to live under high wire electric cables because that's going to interfere with, or I choose not to drink tap water because you can make all these choices. And we can see humans who live perfectly healthy in conditions we would think you can't live perfectly healthy in, or some bodies can't. So how much choice do we have? Do we have to make decisions about that? There's Wi-Fi signals everywhere. If I had to navigate, if I believe the Wi-Fi signal is going to hurt me, I can't live like that. And I remember the very Cryon that I so love and listen to and believe, I buy that, whatever, years ago, like 30 years ago, in his first book, he said, protect yourselves from that too much electricity and from the Wi-Fi radiation. I remember asking if that had been upgraded. But when I heard that, at first I was concerned. And then I thought, no, I choose to have my biology upgraded. I communicate with our maker. I communicate with God. We all communicate with God. We can't be here like, oh my God, are you putting us into a system where we've got this wonderful Wi-Fi stuff and now we're going to suffer for it? Now it's going to make us sick? No. I say no. I rebel. That is my act of defiance. I say, God, please install into our biology that which can be at harmony with Wi-Fi radiation, with galactic radiation, with whatever radiation comes from the sun. And let our intuition work that for the time being, maybe it's not healthy to be sitting at 3 meters away from my Wi-Fi router 24/7 non-stop. Then let intuition move my body away from it, out into nature, whatever, by itself. I don't have to think about how much should I be away from this, how much is good for me. That's computational power that is, I don't want to have to compute that. I don't want to have to, that's wasting time and no. That has to work automatically. Blue Storm. Those transformations, those downloads of software into the body, that has to work automatic, but I have to be the one to communicate with my cellular structure, to communicate with the builders of whatever. Is my responsibility to say, what is it I need? What is it I need as a human? I need to communicate that. And I say I need to be totally in optimal functioning no matter what kind of water I drink. I'll bless my water. I put a little filter there as well, just in case. So I know I don't need to put a filter there. But I fell short of my own beliefs and put a filter there. Whatever, I live at peace with that. It's okay. Like, whatever. So, those are choices I get to make. But I have the responsibility to make that choice. And I have a cooperation with whoever God is and whoever I am. It is inside me. Whatever human I am, whatever life I'm going to live, however conscious I am, whatever element of the driver program of human evolution I am, I need to execute and exercise wisdom, free will, influence to the benefit of myself and the whole. And I need to learn how to do that optimally if I'm not already doing that. And the Tzolk'in, have I sold it lately? Is a perfect tool. It's an operating system that is like, I mean, just to go through 13 days of really focusing on letting go, and then I can let go of focusing on that because I've done it. Now I focus on the next thing. And the 20 seals, the 20 archetypes, nothing is missing here. Nothing is missing. It's a synchronization with galactic wisdom. I mean, I'm very, very, very basic. I'm very basic in this thing, in this talking, in this dream spell. I'm not talking much about pulsars, about radial plasmas, about, oh my God, telekinesis and what. I don't understand any of that stuff. There is an app that has all that information built into it, and it's like, who the hell understands what they're looking at? Are there people who can work with this stuff? It's like I am a toddler. I seriously, I would love to meet someone who, but I must be so basic that I couldn't meet them because we wouldn't resonate on the same frequency. Like, is there anyone around who resonates a little like higher that I can still resonate in the same space and like can explain this shit? Like, it's unreal. But it gives me joy, as you can hear, to imagine someday I may be on that level. Like, what would that be like? I have no idea. But it's a nice thought. So that gives me hope in this body, just the Tzolk'in alone, to live another couple of 52-year spins, like the biggest spin before I'm my birth seal again, and like that, to do the whole cycle a few times consciously. I mean, if they say my purpose in life is to craft a light body, to return to the stars and to take the physical body with me, hello, what does that mean? I am of an evolutionary, I'm like, without, like, proverbial Neanderthal, I mean, they were probably, I don't know if they were even more evolved than we are today. No comment, but the proverbial Neanderthal, I am that by comparison. I can't even understand that statement. How do I would like craft a light body? Sometimes I get a glimpse of understanding that statement, but basically it's like, oh my goodness, please, yes. I choose to resonate with whatever that means. So I choose my evolution in that direction, if that is a choice. But over and beyond that, I choose that the ultimate wisdom that is much, much wiser than I am, I surrender to that. I lay my life down to that wisdom and let that wisdom be the guide and the driver, and to inform me every step of the way, whatever it is I need to know. My favorite prayer, Spirit, tell me what it is I need to know. And that is right now. I don't need to know what I need to know in 5 days from now. I don't need to be there. I am not there. That time does not exist. That moment does not exist. 5 days from now does not exist. It's a theory. Anything is possible. I might have died until then. This world might have blown up with 1 billion atom bombs that we've just detonated. Who knows where we are? Maybe it's in the plan that this earth, has a big love affair with a meteorite, has a major orgasm and is gone, and then we are somewhere else though. Then we have done a quantum jump that we didn't see coming. We couldn't see coming. We cannot see coming. So to be at peace with anything and everything, and I'm right now, all I need is to know what do I need to know right now. And when I go through a dark tunnel like I did in the last couple of days, which happens periodically, it's totally okay. As soon as I come out, I'm like, whatever. I smart ass myself so bad. But I think it's like, yeah, I can remember that I can remember. And that's the red moon, self-existing. Memory is self-existing. Do I have access to the memory field? What do I choose to remember? Which memories do I resonate with? In the tunnel, the memories I have access to are only dark. I have no memory of this is going to change. I mean, it's getting better, but there's a very little memory of light. It takes me to the edge of where I want to live because I have no recollection of hope, of life can get better. That's the place where I believe everything is bad and everything gets worse. That's a reality I enter into, and it's really terrible, but it's like, yeah, it's valid. It checks out. And then I have to learn to choose, like, do I want to live there? Is that how frequently do I want to be there? How, what do I want to be able to remember when I'm in there? And do I want to envision a time where I'm no longer going in there, or at least I keep my lantern going as I go into the dark, because maybe there's a birth process happening. I'm reminded again of the tarot card, the Hermit, and I recommend looking at the Thoth tarot. The Hermit is a very different to the traditional, but it means the same thing. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I love their rendition of it. He carries his lantern behind him, not in front of him. And it's the light that the Cerberus actually kind of like barks at. And it's like, no, you're not getting me. There's a light here. You don't worry. It's no worry. And he moves forward into the dark. It's like his light, maybe for those who follow, but he doesn't need it. His light is his vision of the life force of the Orphic egg, of the unknown. And everything he needs for sustenance curves in around him. It's given to him. He can move freely into the unknown. He's not afraid of it because he knows he's always moving toward life. The egg will always produce more life. And we don't worry about the chickens that die because life is always in the egg, in the chickling, in the egg, in the chickling. Life produces life. That's the cutting edge. We are always birthing into ourselves. Every morning we wake up, we have rebirthed ourselves. If we're only taking the old software, we may move towards a biological life that no longer is worth reincarnating into, because it no longer holds the newness of experience or the amount of joy that we actually want, and then we need to get a new body. It's fine. It's perfectly fine. There's no need to be afraid of anything. So yeah, but when fear comes, we do well to not let ourselves be too alone with it, because us alone in fear that's a mighty dark and scary place. That's a very scary place. As soon as others are present, we can't be that scared anymore. So when we're forming collective bubbles of fear, we're all afraid of this, we're all afraid of that. We gotta be really mindful of what we're doing when we do that. Join the collective bubble of fear, amplifies that frequency, and it has consequences. You may not want to choose those consequences, so you may not want to join the collective chorus of fear-mongering, but rather sometimes it's better to say we don't understand what's going on, it looks a little scary, but we have faith. God doesn't play games here, or like it's not. We gotta have faith that this will be over at some point, and then something better will be here that we can't envision yet. Okay, that's me preaching, not going into priest mode. How far are we? Oh, we are far. Okay, I hope that's all right. For me, that was all right. So if you made it till here, it must have been all right. Otherwise, I greet you as you checked out an hour ago. I wish us all a beautiful end to this wave spell. I wonder if it was difficult for you, if it was interesting. I'm looking forward to the next wave spell, but I wish us a beautiful day, navigated, synchronized with ourselves, our own highest good. If it means a block shows up, may we face it fearlessly and bravely, and just with courage and with the help. Tomorrow, the mirror has its analog kin, the dragon. So we're very, very close to something new. The end of the world bridger, the death cycle, lands us in the mirror with the analog dragon, new beginnings. We may just be reminded of the birthing we started 5 waves, 6 wave spells ago. So we are in utero, we're somewhere in the middle. Yes, we're going to be birthed. Yes, things die. Yes, things get built and born. And it's an eternal process of life. We are heading for the storm. We're heading for the sun, the lunar sun, which is life. And I've just described it perfectly. I'm sorry. That was just perfect. The Orphic egg is just the perfect symbolism for that. And I can see how a part of my mind is like not getting it. And it's like, yeah, it's all right. You were not built to get this part. You were built for something else. Thanks for trying. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Here we are. I wish us a beautiful red earth day. Crystalline, universal, cooperative with our environment, cooperative with our inner environment, harmoniously cooperative, understanding, seeing the harmony and cooperation that's happening everywhere, and finding our solution and understanding if there's a miscooperation anywhere, we can smooth it out. We can bridge worlds where disharmony should be bridged, where non-cooperation should be bridged. We can polarize. We should polarize. It is good and all right to polarize, but we do well to understand now that we've polarized, or if we're polarizing, we need to remember to have mutually beneficial, cooperative, is that the word? I need to look it up again. Relationships between the polar opposite poles. They stabilize the system. Polarity stabilizes the system. Lunar sun, life in its polarity stabilizes transformation. The storm stabilizes energy, which is needed for life to exist. So it is all as it should be, and we do well just to understand it. And then we learn not to interfere. Then we grow wisdom, and the wisdom to know what should we influence, what can we influence, what must we influence, what may we influence, and what not. I love and leave us with that. Aho.